Welcome back to the Fight Pit, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to cover UFC 305, Dracus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. Roll that intro music. We back. We in the house. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, appreciate you. It is your boy Drew. We got 12 Gauge and we got Sean of the Dead right over here. We are taking a look at the UFC 305 Du Plessis versus Adesanya card going down Saturday, August 17th in Perth, Australia. This one is going to be sick. We've been looking forward to this for a while. We got a lot of the matchups that we were hoping for. Some of them that we wish we could have changed up just a little bit, but we'll get into that. First, I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Grilla Grills. Grilla Grills, Grilla Grills, GRILLS.com. If you got, it's summertime, baby. It's summertime. We're getting on towards the end of summer. Start looking into fall. Got to get those summertime grill sessions in before it's too late. And Grilla Grills has you covered. Constructed with the heavy-duty stainless steel, an attractive black porcelain countertop, all of that good stuff. Anything that you guys need for your grilling needs, Grilla Grills has you covered. You can check them out. We will have a link in the description. They got everything. They got grills. They got power stations. They got shredding claws. They got pro carts. Grill up everything. Steaks, dogs, burgers, a whole turkey, whatever your heart desires. So you guys definitely check them out. Thank you so much to Grilla Grills for sponsoring this episode. Once again, GRILLA, GRILLS.com. And we'll have the link down in the description for the house call link. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you rocking with us. Now we got some business to get down to. It's a UFC, it's a pay-per-view. You know, we cover the entire thing top to bottom, because that's what we do. We have you covered for all of your betting needs, all your picks needs, your predictions, your breakdowns. That's what you're here for. We got you. The first one looks to be me. We got a 125-pound fight opening up the card with Stuart Nicole versus Jesus Aguilar. Stuart Nicole is undefeated on an 8-fight win streak, 8-0, 4 KO wins, 3 submission wins, 1 decision. Coming off of a TKO win over Isai Kitano. Isai, something like that. I believe this is his UFC debut as well, so pretty sweet debut to kick off the card. Going up against Jesus Aguilar, 10-2. 1 KO wins, 6 submission wins, 3 decision wins. He's 4-1 in his last 5, so he is not doing too bad at all lately. In those last 5, he's got 2 decision wins, 1 submission win, and 1 KO win, doing a little bit of everything. Coming off of a split decision win over Mateus Mendonça. This one, I think, is going to be exciting. I think, especially getting in on a big card like this, I expect Stuart Nicole to come out and try to put on a show, to try to open up the card with some excitement. You know, Perth is just going to be rocking from the get-go. That whole, you see it a lot in Vegas where like the arena doesn't start to fill up until later on in the card. I feel like this one's going to be packed from the start. And they do it up big. They do it up crazy. They're all going to be drunk and yelling from the very start. I would not be surprised if there was a couple fights in the crowd before the card even starts. They get rowdy. So I expect Stuart Nicole to put on a show on this one, or at least attempt to. Very tough first outing for with Jesus Aguilar. 10-2. He's got 7 finishes. He's 4-1 in his last 5. coming off a split decision win. It's not going to be an easy out, but I think this one's going to be exciting. I got this one going under 2.5 rounds, and official pick, I'm going to go with Stuart Nicole via submission. I feel like this one's going to be a firefight. I feel like they're just two rabid cats going to get shot at each other, and then it's going to make its way to the ground. Stuart Nicole is going to lock up a submission. And we're going to go under 2.5. If I had to pick a round, I would even say maybe under 1.5, but it's tough because the 25ers don't get finished early too often. So I'm going to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but I still think it'll be a finish to kick it off for Stuart Nicole. Official pick, Stuart Nicole by submission.
I agree with that.
It's I something about those debutantes in the first spot early on and stuff. They've been putting on lately. So yeah, definitely tune in for that. Make sure you guys are there all the way through the entire card. You don't want to miss none of that. Next one up, I'm going to throw it to my man Gagemus. We got a welterweight fight, Song Kanan versus Ricky Glenn.
Oh, this is an interesting prelim fight due to the fact both these guys absorb more strikes per minute than they land. And Song Kanan is egregiously in the negative, absorbing almost 6.5 strikes per minute to his little over 3.8 strikes landed per minute. So it's getting to almost double territory. Lucky for him, he's fighting Ricky Glenn, who has fought in his last 2 fights for a total of 4.5 minutes while being knocked out both times. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, and to go past that, his 3rd fight prior was a majority draw with Grant Dawson. After that, he's got put out in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and his last fight with Drew Dober, he got put out in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And he's fighting someone in Song Kanan that, yes, he absorbs a lot of strikes, but he has 12 first-round finishes, 9 KOs, 8 submissions, and is putting people out. He is also on a losing streak, but if you give him the opportunity, he's going to put your lights out. That's why I think Ricky Glenn is the slight dog in this fight, and that it's not closer. Both have similar records, both fight similarly. Ricky Glenn might try to shoot more, but Song has a 61% takedown defense, and I don't think Ricky Glenn's good enough of a wrestler to overcome that. So I think it stays on its feet most of the fight. My best bet for this fight will be under 1.5 rounds. I think Ricky Glenn does get put out once again, just from the style of fight these two will be going through. It's going to be more of a stand in the middle of the cage, and let's see who goes down first. And my money that Song Kanan will be standing at the end of that.
I like that. Song Kanan cracks. He cracks, bro. Slings heavy leather, and that's one of the last people in that division that you just want to stand and bang with.
I think Ricky's chin, I think, is compromised at this point. I think he's just going to get tapped up, clipped one time, and it's just not going to be good. And even if he gets on the ground and survives, he's just going to get either Song's going to pursue a submission or just ground and pound him to death.
It's not a... There's no safe place with Song Kanan. No safe place at all. Ricky Glenn, totally capable of making a fight, but I 100% agree with Gage. I see Song Kanan getting that stoppage on this one. So we got 2 stoppages to open it up. Like we said, exciting, baby, exciting. You got to tune in early for this one. Next up, we're going to the 55ers. We got Tom Nolan. Holy shit. That's the first time I looked at the odds on that one. Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. Dang, I don't know how I missed that. I even looked through on this one too. Wow. So
yeah, I didn't see that either. Oh shit.
Right? Jeez.
So that's some Sleepy Pete territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just give you some stats of these guys, but when you see odds this big, it's normally right. But you'll have once in a while you want to throw $5 the opposite way. This may be one of those
Shout out
times.
Forrest Strickland. Shout out.
Yeah, this is one that you could, when I say off the stats, that you could just toss $5. But I am not saying make this a parlay bet by any means. Don't put this in there. Tom Nolan is 7-1 with 5 KOs, 1-1 in the UFC. His loss was a KO also. He's 6'3" at 155. That's insane. Absolutely insane. But the weird thing, Alex Reyes, severe underdog, plus 650, 13-4, 9 KOs, 4 submissions, 0-2 UFC record. KO'd in both those fights in the UFC, which he's going against the really tall KO artist. He's 5'11", 4 height inch difference, same reach. 6'3" guy and a 5'11" guy have the same reach. Kind of weird, but we've seen stuff like that before. When you think of 5'11", 6'3", you're thinking 170, maybe even 185. No, this is at 155. These two guys got stretched out. They're thin as all hell. Tom Nolan is very fast, and he has very good KO power. He has great combinations. Alex Reyes, in his UFC career, he's very chinny. You can definitely touch that chin, and that's what's going to happen. Yes, he does have the ground game, and he does have submissions in there, but he's not going to be shooting. He doesn't normally shoot. He normally likes to stand, and he will go there if need be. And so I think Alex Reyes is going to get knocked out. It's going to be quick. It is 155, so it is one of the lighter weight classes. So saying a first-round KO is kind of tough, but I'm going to stick with it. It's 1,100 odds. We're going first-round KO. Tom Nolan.
Let's go. Let's fucking go, baby. That is ridiculous, bro. That is ridiculous. I don't know how I missed those odds at when I was doing my homework. You said Tom Nolan, and you're going under 1.5.
Yeah,
TKO?
I'm going first round. I'm going first round KO. Just getting it done with. Alex Reyes' chin KO just is always out there. Very easy to touch.
And Gage, you had Song Kanon. What was the method again? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, muted. Knockout for sure. Knockout under 1.5.
Knockout. Ooh. Under 1.5. Yeah.
Jack Jenkins.
3 finishes. I dig it. I dig it. 3 finishes right off the rip. And if we, I don't know if Method of Victory is open yet because we're so far out, but 3 stoppage parlay to open up the prelims is going to be a nice little profit to open up the card.
Maybe not with Tom Nolan, but 1,100. He better go finish.
True.
That goes to decision. That should be 1,100 favorite.
Right, seriously. I'm willing to bet that Tom Nolan by KO just based on the money line odds. The finish odds for a KO will probably be minus 150 or so because they usually give fairly generous odds on that one. And if you take him in the first round, I'm sure that's still plus money.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
If they even get odds on that.
That's true. Yeah. There's a couple. I think it was Peyton in his last one. I don't think they even opened up the Method of Victory odds at all. I think that they were just like, he's so much like of a concrete lock for getting a KO in the first round that we're not even going to let you guys fucking bet on him.
Smart move by them.
Nuts.
Smart move.
Very smart because I've hammered Peyton by finish in rounds 1 and 2 every single fight that he's had so far, and
yeah, he's no longer a sneaky fighter. Everyone knows who he is now.
I know.
So you get no more easy money off of him.
The secret is out, man. The secret is out. But Hey, for anybody who has been tuned in, who's been subscribed and keeping up, we were there first. We were there first, and he was here first. Peyton Talbot was here first with us. So we got a good track record. We got a good track record. All right, that wraps up the early prelims. We're gonna take it on to the prelim card. Kicking it off with the 45ers, we got Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns, that's Gilbert's brother. Is that correct? I forget about that.
I mean, they have the same facial structure. So,
yeah.
I mean, they look, at least by the thing they have on UFC, you can definitely see how they could be related.
I remember him having a brother, but I haven't been paying attention to the fucking outside of the top 10 in so long. All right. And Jack Jenkins opening up at a minus 550. Herbert Burns at a plus 375.
Burns is the younger brother of Gilbert Burns.
Younger brother, cool. Good. I still got some of my brain cells intact. Jack Jenkins sitting at a 12-3, respectable. 5 KO wins, 3 submission wins, 4 decision wins, doing a little bit of everything. He's 4-1 in his last 5. In those 5, he has 3 decision wins, 1 TKO win, and 1 TKO loss, which was his last fight. And that TKO was, I believe, an arm injury. I think he got injured and had to, they called it on him against Jose Mariscal back in September 2023. So it's been a minute, cooking towards a year on some of these. Herbert Burns, 11-5, 1 KO win, 8 submission wins. Bing, log it. 2 decision wins, 2-3 in his last 5. 3 TKO losses in his last 5. All of those 3 losses were by TKO, and he's got 1 KO win, 1 submission win. Last fight was a loss by TKO to Julio Arce. Understandable. Back in March of this year. This one, I really don't want to break up the finish streak that we got going, but I have the nagging suspicion that even though these guys have 17 finishes between them, nagging suspicion that this one goes the distance. Nagging suspicion. I feel like Herbert Burns, as of late, he's been getting finished and getting finishes. Jack Jenkins has three of his most recent wins were by decision. One of them was by a TKO. I think Jack Jenkins is the way to go on this one. I know it's a sizable betting discrepancy on that one. Ordinarily, trying to find some kind of plus money way to take out of it. I think you could get a little bit of coin back on this one over, because I'm guessing that this one, I'm guessing the odds are going to be closer to a pick'em for the fight not to go the distance. But I am official pick going with Jack Jenkins by decision. And as far as the rounds are concerned, I'm going to take this one fight to go the distance. I would not be surprised, though, if anybody had a rebuttal as far as a finish, because these guys have the capability to finish. I think Jack Jenkins is rolling. I think he's rolling with that get the win over getting a highlight for Monday morning type of game plan, which is no problem with it at all. Got to do what you got to do. I think that Jack Jenkins is going to get this one either way. I'm going with decision. I'm going to go with fight to go the distance. If you want a little bit more of a safe bet, though, over 1.5 has got to be a lock, I would think.
You're going 30-27 or 29-28?
That's tough. I'd play it safe, go 29-28. We'll say it might be a split. say it might be a split. I think that Jack Jenkins, he's getting decision wins lately. His style is amounting to decision wins lately. Herbert Burns' style is amounting to either a finish win or a finish loss. And I fully would not be surprised if this one gets finished, but I just have the nagging suspicion that this one is going to go to a decision. Yeah, I'll play it even. I'll say split decision on this one. But stay away from it if you don't think so. Stay away from it. Throw under 2.5 is one that you can throw out there too if you like a finish in this one. I feel like this one should be a finish, and when I feel so strongly about that one, especially on the undercards, it's going to
decision. Yeah.
The next one up is going to go back to Gage. We have
125er females.
Yes. And this one's we got a ranked in this one. Casey O'Neill and Luana
Casey
Santos.
O'Neill against Luana Santos, who's a short notice step in because I can't pronounce her name. So again, she was originally supposed to fight, but Casey, this is a short notice fight for Luana Santos, which is great for her. She fought in July on a fight night in July, so about a little less than a month turnaround for her. So I don't think she's that far out of camp. The weight cut I think will be a little rough because of that, though. That she probably was coming back up on the tail end of out of camp. Just had a fight. Just had a great submission rear naked choke win in her third UFC fight. So I don't know how the gas tank is going to be for her. But I assume she just came out of camp, so it's not the worst time. But the weight cut is going to be a little rough, so I don't know how that's going to drain her. But I think she's on 2 or 3 weeks notice. So I think she's started to, so it wouldn't be as draining. Casey O'Neill, good prospect. They're both under 20. Casey O'Neill is 26. Luana Santos is 22, I believe. Oh, no, she's 24. Sorry, correct. She's 24. So they're both younger fighters trying to get into the top 15 or move up in the top 15, which is great to see that there are younger fighters still trying to up and come in women's divisions because we are lacking those, as we've said. Casey O'Neill is 9-2 against Luana Santos, who's 8-1. Great record for both these gals. Casey O'Neill is coming off her first 2 losses in a row. Decision to Jennifer Maia, and then she got submitted by armbar in her last fight. I forget whom to. And Luana Santos is coming off a first 3 fights in the UFC and 3-fight win streak in the UFC as well. She is undefeated in the UFC. This fight is probably more interesting than many would think a women's prelim would be. They both have good takedown. Luana is very good on the ground, likes to submit people. Big BJJ background. She does have great hands. Casey O'Neill, on the other hand, does have good takedown defense, isn't a stranger on the ground, and just has very strong boxing. And I think she'll look to use that. Key for Luana Santos, I think, is get her to the ground early and often, hunt for it, use what energy you have, and really pursue it. Because Casey O'Neill can defend takedowns well and does have ground game, but I don't think it's the same level. If you can get her there and win rounds 1 and 2 early, or get a submission, I think is her best game. Not really test the gas tank out. And for Casey O'Neill, it's the opposite. Keep her standing. Keep jabbing her up. Keep suffering her takedowns. Make her waste all the gas tank. And just take her into deep water and just wait her. Just piece her up after that. Oddly enough, my take for this fight is, fight not to go the distance. It's going to be plus money because everyone knows women's fights like to go to the cards. Luana Santos, in her first 3 fights in UFC, 2 of them did not go to the cards. Casey O'Neill, her first 3 fights in the UFC, did not go to the cards. Her last fight, she got submitted early in round 2, which is area that Lorena Santos, if she has enough gas in the tank, will be hunting submissions. And Casey O'Neill is susceptible to them. So I think it's stacking up to be a sneaky finish in that fight. By whom is rough. It's going to be very hard to tell. But I'm a big fan of no short notice, so I am going to go Casey O'Neill, ground and pound, TKO, 3rd round.
Ooh. TKO.
But if you want to sprinkle Luana Santos by submission, under 1.5, probably a good bet too.
Her last one was 3 minutes and 27 seconds into the first round, so I'm assuming she didn't take too much damage in that one. And the opponent that she is replacing is Teresa Bleda. But yeah, Casey O'Neill, TKO round 3, fight not to go the distance. Gotta be plus money on all those. Especially considering that the Luana Santos is coming in off of a finish. Absolutely. I like it. Let's keep it rolling. We got, keeping it with the smaller weight classes, Josh Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos. Sean, hit us with it.
Well, this fight is a lot closer odds than my last fight, not a minus 1100, but this is minus 175 for Josh versus Ricardo Ramos's plus 145. So in other sports, that's actually a decent odds, but in MMA, that's not decent odds. That's like where it could go either way. It really still can. Josh Culibao is 11-3-1, 5 KOs, 1 submission. His UFC record is 3-3-1. So he started off his career 8-0, and since then he's had a 3-3-1 stretch. 30 years old, 5'10" for a featherweight, another tall guy for his weight class. 0-2 in his last 2 fights, but both were by decision. And one of them was to Lerone Murphy, which was a decision. And you have Ricardo Ramos, 16-6, 4 KOs, 7 submissions. 5'9", 29 years old, so the age is close, height is close, the reach is identical. 7-5 in the UFC. Really, this is a weird fight because Ricardo Ramos, he's been KO'd, while Josh Culibao has not, and I think that's going to be a factor in this. And this is one of those fights that's so close, in my opinion. I don't even think the odds should be this way. I think it could be really a pick'em. So I looked for similar opponents, and that's where I mentioned Lerone Murphy, that we just watched him destroy Edson Barbosa recently. Josh Culibao lost by decision. Yes, it was 30-27, but he lost by decision, while Ricardo Ramos got KO'd by Lerone Murphy. He got KO'd by him. So that's where I think there's a little bit of a difference there. And he is another one that's a little chinny. Josh is a 60% finish rate of his fights, 5 of them being KO. So this is one of those that I think this could be either decision, Josh Culibao winning by decision. It could be Ricardo Ramos winning by decision using a ground game. Josh Culibao has not been submitted or KO'd, so it's strictly he loses by decision. So it could be Ricardo winning by points. Also, I don't see a finish on that side. This is a really tough one to pick. I'm going to go with the odds just because Ricardo Ramos does not have the finishing ability in this fight, in my opinion, while Josh does. I'm still going to pick decision, but I would not be surprised if Josh does get the finish, because Ricardo, once again, another guy that is chinny. He keeps that chin up high, and he can get finished that way. So if you want to sprinkle a finish for Josh, you can, but I would just pick Josh straight up. Decision 29-28.
29-28 for Culibao. I dig that. I agree. I that's like the one I was saying earlier too. I feel you on that one. I think that's one of those ones that's like fully capable of being a finish, but ends up going to a decision.
Yeah.
We've had a handful of those lately that just wrecked my parlays. Next. Oh yeah, we're going to my heavyweight fight. The most annoying fight on my assignment. We have Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. And Gage already. Gage is getting Walker Brothers PTSD on this one.
I'm just happy I wasn't the one to have it this time. I always have it.
Yes. I was very surprised.
And I
had to
always
do a
get hurt by the Walker Brothers, and I keep fucking doing it.
Yep. Well,
and I would do it again. If I had to fight, I would probably do it again.
Based on how this one goes, I absolutely will too. Because I think that this one could be a make or break for Walter Walker. I think that this one also could be a break or break for Junior Tafa. Both of these guys had a lot of high expectations as of late in their most recent fights. Both of these guys were involved in fights that they easily, well, I shouldn't say easily, but they both fared well in and had the chance to win. Were capable of winning, but they, for whatever reason, weren't able to live up to the hype at the time. But we will see on this one. We got Junior Tafa 5-2. All 5 of his wins are by KO. He's 3-2 in his last 5. He's got 3 KOs, obviously. 1 decision loss and 1 TKO loss in those last 5. Coming off of a TKO loss to Marcos Rogerio da Lima back in February, and the Walter Walker, the Walter Walker brother. He's sitting on an 11-1. I like that. I always keep an eye out for 11s. 6 KO wins, 1 submission win, 4 decision wins, 4-1 in his last 5. That one obviously being his last fight against Lucas Brzeski, where he dropped the unanimous decision back in April. That was a tough one. That was tough. He's 4-1 in his last 5, though, so still on the right track. Could just be a little bit of a speed bump. Could just be a little bit of the octagon jitters. Could be getting in and feeling a different type of fight.
A person with the last name Walker fighting in the UFC.
Or he could just be somebody who gets an amazing highlight knockout and then drops it. I
firmly say that Lucas Brzeski is not as good a fighter as the Tafa brothers. I'm just gonna.
I didn't think so either. I don't know what happened in that one. That one, like I said, I don't know what got into Walter. I feel like, based on his earlier fights and stuff, he's susceptible to. He's still got some things to iron out. He's susceptible to things like getting caught. He's susceptible to. But he's a Walker brother, dude. He's a Walker brother. They love to fight. They're going to go into the fight wanting to get into a fight, and it's on the opponent to, win or lose it. They're just going to keep moving forward. They're going to work through it, and you got to stop them. You got to take it from him. Junior Tafa, though, if Walter Walker does not mind his P's and Q's, Junior Tafa can absolutely put his lights out. He's a very heavy hitter. He's both of the Tafas. This is a brothers matchup, man. That's crazy. Both of those guys, either of these guys has the capability to put it down quick, to put either one down quick, to finish this fight quick. I feel as though Junior Tafa is the one to pick on this one. My initial analysis is that it should be a very quick fight. It should be a first round finish. It should be a first round knockout. I would say to hedge over 1.5, because I feel like that's going to be plus money on this one. I feel like that's the best plus money bet. If it's going to get over 1.5, I don't see it going too much further, but that's what happened in Walter Walker's last fight, and could have made a lot of money on that if we had bet it going to a decision. So just in case this one is another one of those heavyweight fights that should finish within the first 30 seconds and ends up going for 5 hours, I would hedge over 1.5. But this one, official pick, I'm going under 2.5 rounds, and I got to go Junior Tafa by KO on this one. If Walter Walker can bounce back and can get it done, then I will absolutely hop right back on that train. He's at 11 wins, and 11 is just one of those numbers that's just followed me around my whole life. It's been like a lucky number. So if I see someone who's ranked number 11, if they have 11 wins, if this is their 11th fight, if they're ranked number 11, anything like that where I see an 11, I'll drop a little bit on them just for superstitious sakes. But if Walter Walker bounces back and gets the KO in this one, I will definitely jump back on him. But for now, I'm going to go Junior Tafa just to avoid the Walker flip-flop hex. Yeah. just to try to avoid that bullet on this one, since we've jumped in front of it every single time before this. But that's another one. We're going finish. I'm going under 1.5. I'm going Junior Tafa. Hedge, absolutely. Hedge Walter Walker. But be very careful on this one. Do not throw this fight on all of your parlays. Don't make this a lock. Don't make this a safe bet. Don't make this a prevalent one. This is, I would say, an all KO parlay. You got a couple. If we go, who else did we just say a minute ago? Song Kanon and Junior Tafa. I like those by KO. If you want to throw this fight, Song Kanon first round, Junior Tafa first round, or flip flop Walter Walker, whichever you prefer. But definitely do not make this one of your safe bets, unless you have some kind of insider information that none of us have. Then you better hit us in the comments and let us know. Next one up,
I am going to say, let it be known, I am taking Walter Walker by KO.
Absolutely.
I'm leaving this out of every fucking parlay, not just one, every parlay. I ain't touching these.
I'm just saying, for record purposes.
Yeah.
Have it reflect the
so
record.
if he loses, do you want this one to go on your Fight Pit record?
Yes.
Is what we're saying? Okay.
Yeah. Every time
so
I don't agree with what you guys select, I tend to make it a point.
Course. That's what we call an opt-in, guys. That's what we call an opt-in. You can we opt in at any time. We don't have to give prior notice. We can let it reflect as we see fit. That's one that if I could gift this one to you and just have it, I would not be not be mad.
By all means, I'm not going to put any monetary value on this fight, but
yeah,
it is on the list.
Walter Walker, dude, if he gets a KO, he's right back rolling because they're going to do whatever they can to keep trying to get those guys. Him and Despain, I still want to see that fight at some point. Hopefully they both can tighten it up and fix those holes. I think that would be a sick fight. But next one, that wraps up the prelims. We're jumping to the main card, baby. Opening it up with Li Jingliang versus Carlos Pratis. Beautiful fight to open up the main card. Gage, we're going to you on this one.
Oh, we're already about to lead. Sorry, I thought it was like my fight last because I was talking about it so much.
No worries.
So last week we had the lesser known Leech. This week we have the actual Leech. Li Zhongli. God, I can't even say that right.
I just call him Jang-a-Lam.
Li Jingliang. There it is. There we go. That's how you say that. Okay. So he is fighting Carlos Prates. This is a great fight to start the main card off, I think. This is going to be an absolute banger. Just going to be a standard fight. This is both men average way more strikes landed than absorbed. Well, strikes landed per minute. Both of them over 4. Carlos absorbs over 5, but the Leech absorbs almost in the low 3s. The biggest difference in physical stats is Lee is much older and has a 7-inch reach disadvantage going into it. Carlos's reach is 78 inches. Lee's is 71. Big reach disadvantage. Carlos also touts in the current UFC 80% takedown defense. Li Jingliang has a 41% takedown accuracy, does shoot, can shoot, has great ground game that I just don't see Carlos having if he does get taken to the ground. But I think this will be a stand and bang. Both these guys love throwing them. And I think the Leech will get it to the ground, will not hunt for the submission, will win by punches, ground and pound. Get the Leech back in the win column. TKO over 1.5.
TKO over 1.5. Hell yeah, baby. That's exactly what I was going to go to. I will bet on Leech every single time out. And I think I even bet on him against
Chimaev.
Homeboy. Yeah, Hamzat. Li Jingliang is so tough. And he's just a sturdy dude. He's so just solid. Like, very difficult to hold down. Very heavy hitter.
It's also his first fight in almost 2 years.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. So, yeah. Maybe
and
not as
his last fight was a decision loss to Daniel Rodriguez.
That's right, on the Nate Diaz Hamzat or Nate Diaz Ferguson card.
That is exactly correct. That is the correct card.
Jingliang plus 200, very difficult to pass up. So I 100% agree. If Carlos Prates can make this one look easy.
If you want to hedge Carlos by knockout, he's been finishing people in the early second, late first, or late second. But I think he's going to have more trouble with the Leech.
Still,
he also hasn't like really fighting people that are at that level.
Yeah. And if you do go Carlos Prates, I think still going over 1.5 is the move for sure. I like that. Good calls, Gage. Now we got the other heavyweight fight, the other annoying as hell heavyweight fight. Sean, let us know what you got for Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
Well, both guys first have fought absolute killers, so them winning and losing more recently, like, it's them going in skids, it's understandable. Tai Tuivasa, 15-7, 14 of those wins have been by KO. 6'2", 31 years old, but he's 0-4 in his last 4 fights. But his last 4 fights have been against absolute killers. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, His is it Rosenstruck or Rosenstrike? I hear Struck. Is it Rosenstrike?
Rosenstrike? Rosenstrike.
Okay. Yeah. He's 14-5, 13 KOs. This sounds like a heavyweight fight because it is a heavyweight fight. 6'2", 36 years old. So age, I really don't think it's going to make a difference. Rosenstrike, he has a background in kickboxing and actually can point fight, and that's where I think the difference is going to be in this fight. He's not going to want to stand and just brawl because he can win other ways than that. He just won a very good fight against Gaziv, which was very surprising. Once again, I had that fight, and I picked Gaziv 100%, and, well, great. So don't go with me on heavyweight fights. Legitimately, we would be batting 900 if it wasn't for heavyweight fights. It is unbelievable with these fucking heavyweight fights. But when you look at the guys that both these guys have lost to, it's unbelievable. Like, you have Rosenstrike's lost to Almeida. He's lost to Francis Ngannou. You have a close fight against Volkov. Oh no, that was a KO. It was Curtis Blades. That was a close fight, but he ended up losing by decision. But he has won some good fights too against like Gaziv. And then you have Tai Tuivasa that he's won. His biggest fight win that he's won is probably against I would say would be Derek Lewis, but now Derek Lewis has had a skid and now he's somewhat coming back. So it's really hard to put this out there. It's hard to make a pick. I would love to say the easiest pick is a first round finish. Someone's getting KO'd. Tai Tuivasa is going to push the pace in knowing this is another striker and try to get the finish himself. Because if he gets picked apart, we saw what happened with Ciryl Gane. So, but that means it could be later in the first round. But I think he's going to just throw caution to the wind and say, this guy is not as good as Ciryl Gane. And we're going to see what happens.
I mean, we thought that about Marcin Tybura too.
Yeah, that's also true. It's annoying. Legitimately picking a heavyweight fight, and definitely with our records with heavyweight fights, it is very annoying. If I had to put money on it, which I will not be doing, I will not be putting money on the heavyweight fights. They will be out of my parlays, 100%. Not even giving Vegas money on this one. I'm going to go with Rosenstrike by TKO KO in the first round. Could be completely wrong on this. I think you have Tai Tuivasa. Is going to try to push the pace, push the brawl. Rosenstrike is a better kickboxer and he can snipe you. He is not one that just has to brawl to win. He can play, and they're the same size. I think Tai Tuivasa has a 1-inch reach advantage, will not make a difference here. So I think this is a second Australian that we have not. Oh no, Drew, you did pick the Australian and with the Junior Tafa. So this is the first official Australian we are not going for. Even though Gage did pick Walker, but this is the first official Australian I'm not going for. I'm going for Rosenstruck. I think first round, if not second round. He can win the fight by points also. He does have a gas tank, as we saw in the last fight. So Rosenstruck, KO, TKO, first round. If you want to do second round, that's fine too.
I'm also going to go just to say that I'm going tie.
Understandable. Understandable.
Are you opting in on that one? Gage, are you opting in on Tai Tuivasa?
I'm putting it on my record.
Are you going first round also?
Yeah. Under 1.5 to be safe. Under 1.5.
Good call. Good call. Super safe as far as the rounds go. Under 2.5, I would say. Super safe. This one, I fully agree. If I could, I would bet both of these because I'm split on them for sure. I like. I just looked. I don't have the reach in front of me right now, but they're both 6'2". I feel like Rosenstruik should have a reach advantage though, just based on.
I thought what I saw was Ty had a 1-inch reach advantage, but
oh, does he?
I could be wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's it's 1 inch.
Difference maker.
I don't think it will.
That's interesting.
I think it's brawl or pick apart. One of the two. That's the two answers to this.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going official pick Rosenstruik, and Gage is opting in on Tuivasa. TKO round 1, under 1.5. Work that around how you see fit, everybody at home. But we're going early. We're taking the risky routes on these heavyweights on this one. But that's what we do. And our records reflect it, and we wouldn't change a damn thing. So deal with it. That's going to take us on to Mateus Gamrot. Excuse me. Mateus Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Whew. This one I think is going to be sweet. I think this has fight of the night potential written all over it. We got Mateus Gamrot at a healthy 24-2-0 with 1 no contest, 8 KO wins, 5 submission wins, 11 decision wins, 4-1 in his last 5. In those 5, he has 3 decision wins, 1 TKO, and then 1 decision loss. Coming off of a unanimous decision win over Rafael dos Anjos back in March. Up against Dan the Hangman Hooker. Another healthy 23-12 record, 11 KOs, 7 submissions, 18 finishes for Dan Hooker. Insane, with 5 decision wins. Love it. He's coming off of his last fight was a split decision against Jalen Turner, July 8th, 2023. Very, very tough layoff to come back from. And if I'm being 100% frank, that split decision very easily could have gone either way. That was he got wrecked early on in that one. And I would not have, I'm glad that he did because that's who I picked, but I would not have been surprised if they gave it to Jalen Turner. I thought they were going to give it to Jalen Turner. I was very happy when they didn't, but that was a tough fight. And a year layoff is never a good thing. We hardly ever, I mean, unless it's, John Jones rehabbing from a torn pec or something, we very rarely think that, or Volkanovski coming off 2 KOs back to back, very rare that we think more time off is going to favor somebody. But we'll see. If anybody's going to come back and put on a show, it'll be Dan Hooker at home. Mateus Gamrot, though, tough outing coming off of a year layoff, man. He's very dominant in all aspects. He has 13 finishes and 11 decisions, double-digit finishes either way. Or no, not double-digit wins either way, whether it's stoppage or decision. Look good over Rafael dos Anjos. Rafael dos Anjos not exactly in that prime form, but not doing bad, I would say. He had that last round KO against Fiziev, but other than that, he hasn't looked like he's fallen off too much. He's dropping a decision here and there. Other than that, not looking like he's lost too many steps. And that was in March, so it's recent. He's been active. And Gamrot is in the running for trying to make a push towards the title shot very soon. So he wants to come out and do something on this one. I think that the striking of Dan Hooker is always a factor. I think that you have to always take that into account. If Dan Hooker gets rolling, if he gets landing stuff, if he gauges, I mean, we saw it in the Jalen Turner later on after he recovered, found the distance, started landing, ended up pulling it out, ended up gaining those points back and pulling ahead. I think if Dan Hooker is able to find his range, if he's able to find the mark, if he's able to get everything locked in early on this one, I think it could be very interesting. Like I said, I think it's fight of the night potential. So I have it going to the cards. Going under 2.5 is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all, because both of these guys are very capable of getting a finish. But we say it all the time, the higher up you get in the rankings, the tougher you fight, the tougher competition you fight, the more likely that people are going to cancel each other out, and we're gonna have more decisions. I'm gonna go with Mateus Gamrot on this one as the official pick, but I'm for sure hedging on Dan Hooker. Underdog parlay, absolutely. Finish KO parlay, absolutely. You want to toss Dan Hooker in there by a KO. Would not be mad at that at all. But official pick, I'm going Mateus Gamrot by unanimous decision and fight to go the distance on that one. Any rebuttals?
I'd love to, but I don't think I can. I
know. It's so tough with Dan Hooker. Like our hearts want Dan Hooker. Our brains are all Gamrot.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's going to take us on to, is this the co-main? Yep, this is the co-main.
Good co-main.
Beautiful. Ooh, where are we at? We just hit one? Okay, sweet. We got number 4 ranked Kai Kara France versus number 7 ranked. You just fought for a title. Number 7 ranked Steve Erceg. Let's go. Let's take it clockwise on this one, Gage. I'll start it with you, brother.
I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Kai Kara France, ranked number 4, has more fights professionally, is a higher ranking fighter, and is the slight underdog in this fight. When I saw, this was going to be a fight and I was prepping for the episode, I was like, oh, this is going to be a super big, just like, let me throw a little plot twist and take Steve Erceg. Because I was like, oh, Steve's probably, the underdog, but he did just fight for a title. Took Pantoja to the cards, looked good. And we've seen Kai get absolutely flatlined before. Then I look at the odds, and Steve Erceg's a 225 favorite. Like, thought it'd be a little closer, but does not change how I feel about it. Steve Erceg looked really good for what it was against Alexandre Pantoja. For what it was, he looked very good. Pantoja just certified that he's just on a different level. He just really is that guy. It will be a tough fight. It's going to be a very, very good fight. Erceg needs to keep it off the ground. And he just needs to do what he was doing. He needs to be the next guy to flatline Kai. So, I do have Steve Erceg by decision. It goes to the cards. But if you want to do either of them by finish, not bad. But I would do it after the 1.5 mark. Because I do think it's going to go a little longer.
Absolutely. Sean, you're up.
This isn't a 5-round co-main, right?
I think it might be.
I don't think so because there's no title or anything.
Yeah, that's why I don't think so.
I don't think so, but if it is, I favor Steve Erceg even more.
Yeah, I was just saying, if it is, then I definitely have Steve Erceg by decision.
Yeah.
But if it is a 3-round, I would go over 1.5. And I would definitely go, fight does go to the distance. But if you want to go the opposite, you don't like what I'm saying, Kai Kara France over 1.5 by submission would be a very big Kai Kara France moment.
I like it. Got Erceg. Decision. All right. Sean, what do you got for us, bro?
All right. I'm not going to really repeat too much of what Gage said, so I'm going to go into more my other stuff. Steve Erceg has the height and very tiny reach advantage, he just lost a very close fight to the champ, which I believe he lost by fight IQ. Like, he decided to go for a silly takedown. in the 5th round, which cost him his back and lost him the fight against. I had it 2-2 going to the 5th round. Some people had a 3-1 to the champ, and some people had it the other way too. They had a 3-1 because every round of that fight was close. It was a very close fight, and it seems like the scorecards agreed with what I said with the 2-2, and then by fight IQ, he lost the fight, in my opinion. And I believe
it's only his 5th fight professionally in the UFC?
He's in UFC. He's 3-1, so this is his 5th. Yeah, this is his 5th fight. Yep, and Steve Ursig does have more submissions, which obviously they were outside the UFC. Kai France, he has 3 submissions, but one of them has been in UFC. Kai France reminds me of the guy we just watched fight a weekend ago, being Corey Sandhagen, the guy that just can't win the big fight to get to the title. And that's what I look at Kai France. He's 0-4 versus the killers that would get him to the title. He's had basically 4 number 1 contender fights, and he's 0-4 in all 4 of those fights.
What was the last one? Brandon Moreno, right?
Albazi, he lost a split decision, which it was a split decision. I thought maybe he won that fight. Then there was Moreno. He's lost to, I think he's lost to him twice and Royval once. So he's only lost to killers. He's 0-4 versus killers, but they're the fight to get him to the title. And that's the issue with him. And I feel like this is going to be one of those, if Steve Ursig puts on a clinic, basically calls a shot at the title again, people aren't going to be upset for that to be a co-main on a decent card. Like that was a hell of a fight. And I do think Ursig, what you saw on the ground with him against Pantoja, he can grapple really well. But that's the same thing with all the 125ers. They're the most well-rounded fighters in the world. And so I don't really think I put Steve by submission or decision, but I don't really see the submission happening. Definitely in a 3-round fight. I was thinking it was 5 rounds, and then as soon as you mentioned it, I was like, oh no, it's a 3-round. So I'm going to go Steve Ursig by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 29-28, but I'm personally going to say it's going to be a clean sweep, 30-27. I think Steve's going to keep him at range. He did fantastic that last fight.
I do think Kai gets around. I do think it's 29-28, but I do think it is a UD.
Yeah. I'm just going to be I just feel like I want to see that Steve Ursig fight versus Pantoja again. I really do. So I'm going to be a little more optimistic for Steve, plus the history of Kai France in the big fights. He just gets dominated. He didn't even come, other than the split decision, the other 3 weren't close that he lost. So I feel by history, I'm going to go with Steve Ursig, and I'm going to go 30-27.
Beauty. Ursig by decision. Not surprised at all. And as soon as Gage started talking, I was like, I already know exactly where he's going, because that's everything that I wrote down, except I went the other way with it. I think Kai France finally makes it over the hump on this one. Wow. And I think that if he does bring it to a close decision, I think he's going to get the hometown push. I think he'll get the.
Steve's on Aussie too.
Yeah, he's Australian.
Steve's Aussie.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well, Ursig is, like you were saying, way, way better than we thought. Because going into that Pantoja fight, myself personally, I was like, what the hell are we doing here? Why is this number 10 after 2 fights fighting for the title? But he showed out. He showed incredible submission defense. He showed great ground game, great scrambles. And he didn't look, I don't want to say that he looked lost on the feet either, but just Pantoja has, his striking has developed like in ways that I didn't expect. He's, if you look back at fights like Davis and Figueiredo popped him good. There was times where you were thinking I don't recall Pantoja being the favorites up until he won the title. I don't think that he was looked at as one of those dominant guys until this last fight, though. This last fight did numbers for both of them. It did a world of difference for both of them. Steve Erceg, even in a loss, looked phenomenal, and proved us all wrong. But this one, I'm going to just flip it the other way. I'm going to say that it goes to a split decision, and I'm going to give Kai Kara-France the edge on that one. I'm hoping that he's going to finally get over that hump. Wouldn't be surprised, though, if Erceg gets the decision and is able to put himself right back in another shot with Pantoja, would absolutely love that. That was a banger of a fight. That was a banger. That was an absolute sweet fight. And I do believe, maybe not, that one might have gone up on YouTube for a free fight. So if you haven't seen that one, look it up. It's worth the watch, 100%. Mm-hmm. So we got 2 for Erceg and 1 for Kai. And taking us on into the final fight of the night, we have the champ, Dricus Du Plessis, versus the former champ, Israel Adesanya. Dricus Du Plessis these guys are both coming off fights against Sean Strickland. Dricus won the title back in January. Israel Adesanya lost the title in September of last year. This is one that we have been looking forward to, one that everybody's been looking forward to. I'm glad that they made this fight before throwing someone else in there, because did not want to lose out on this beef. Did not want to lose out on this. Got to capitalize on this. We'll go counterclockwise this time. Sean, we'll start it off with you, brother.
So this is, in my opinion, all depends on if Dricus Du Plessis realized the blueprint to beat Israel Adesanya, and that is get in his face the entire time. Sean Strickland did it. Robert Whittaker in the second fight did it, in which he did lose that fight, but it was really close. Some people even still think that it could have gone Robert Whittaker's way the second fight, but I had it Izzy's. Alex Pereira got the finish against him by pushing the pace, but also got finished that way too. But DDP in his UFC career is 7-0, 4 KOs, 2 decisions, and a submission. One of those KOs being against Robert Whittaker. Israel Adesanya, I don't think I need to go over his resume. I'm pretty sure one of you guys will do it anyway. It's it's unbelievable. He's 1 or 2 greatest at this weight class of all time, him and Anderson Silva. This is a fight that is unbelievable on paper. If it stays standing, Izzy wins. If it goes to the ground, Du Plessis wins. But Du Plessis has stupid power for some reason. Like, he's a bulldog. He just pushes the pace. And I have not seen one fight where he's not willing to push the pace. Sean Strickland started piecing him up, and he's like, oh, I might be down a round. Next 2 to 3 rounds, I think he lost round 1 against Sean Strickland. Then the next 2 to 3 rounds, I think he won all 3 rounds. And he ended up winning a split decision, 29-28. 48-47 against Sean Strickland. And I had it scored the same exact way. And I think that's going to be the answer. I'm going to pick the underdog as champ. Dricus Du Plessis is going to get the win over Israel Adesanya. And definitely what we saw after last fight with Israel Adesanya is, like, I'm not saying anything meaning he's washed or anything like that. But I do believe there is a blueprint to beat him. And he will use it. And it will be by decision, because it is really hard to finish Izzy. Like, Izzy did lose to Alex Pereira by finish, and he was still standing. But that's his only loss that he got finished.
That's true. I don't think he's... Oh, no, Sean. He did go down when Sean caught him, right?
Yeah, he went. That was actually the first knockdown, which is funny that he has a TKO KO against him, but he wasn't knocked down. But then you have, which I do like the stoppage, to be honest, because it was just going to keep happening. But then he's lost to Jan Blachowicz, which was a point fight, and then Sean Strickland, which was a point fight. So I'm going to go DDP, the underdog, my lock for underdog, of the card. and I think he's going to get the job done. I think he's going to win 3 to 4 rounds, in my opinion.
Beautiful. Dog of the week on it, too. Hell yeah. There we go. We got DDP, one for DDP. It's so cool that there's someone in the UFC that we get to call DDP now. That's awesome.
That's
Gage,
what I wrote down.
Gage, hit us with it.
Sean laid out some very in-depth points that make a great case for Drakus. Yes, if you push the pace against Izzy and don't let him use his length, he does struggle. But Izzy now is coming off a year off, healthy, mind right, coming back. This is what he wants to do. Now he doesn't have to defend the belt. He wanted to come win it again, which is sometimes for these guys a great thing that you've been on top for so long. It just doesn't. You don't have that hunger anymore. That you're just destroying people. So you get, complacent and you get caught. A la Sean Strickland. Because he got the boogeyman out of his head. He got Powhatan out of there. And then relaxed too much against Sean and paid for it. So I think time off was good for him. You forget he was the most dominant champion in the last 7 years in the UFC. I think that's without doubt. He fought anyone, everyone, twice.
Yep.
He was lapping.
Yep.
He was just lapping people, and it just none of them, besides Robert Whittaker, was even close. And Cannonier, snooze fest, wasn't close. Vittori wasn't as boring, not even close. The first Robert Whittaker fight wasn't that close.
No,
Paulo Costa, not even a chance. He was just head and shoulders above everyone, and he's still relatively young. So I'm going to go Israel Adesanya, homecoming. Drakus is a pressure machine, but he leaves himself so open to getting clipped. And Izzy is a sniper, has very tough kicks, a lot of range, and it has a lot of power behind it. Yes, if it goes to the ground, he's in trouble, but he has great takedown defense. He's fought the best wrestlers in the division over and over. And I find it difficult to say that Drakus, yes, he's big and strong, great wrestler, really wild striking, but that's it. It's wild striking with a lot of power. If Sean had more power, Sean probably gets the job done too. Izzy has the power. Izzy has the length. I think Drakus is going to get down, as you said, Sean. The first round, the second round, maybe be down 2-1, maybe down 2-0 before that timer goes off in his head. Like, I got to get to work. And then he's just going to catch a high kick and it's going to land right on the jaw or the side of the head. And he's just going to either go to sleep right away or be on the ground. And he's just going to finish that off real quick.
So going Adesanya by TKO, do you got an over-under?
I'm going Izzy TKO over 3.5.
That's actually what the line is, I believe, is 3.5. So that's pretty good.
Sick.
We
got one.
I think Drakus might be a little more patient because it is Izzy. But that timer is going to go off in his head that he's going to have to win it by pressure and volume, and he's just going to leave himself way too much surface area.
I could see that. 100%. I got similar. This one, I think, like Gage was saying, Izzy got complacent. We've seen, and like Sean was saying too, we saw him completely just decimating people earlier on in his title reign. As time has gone on, the gap has gotten closer and closer and closer to the point where guys are decisioning him, where he's getting caught. We saw Pereira standing TKO. The next one out, it was he got fully dropped. Not the next one out, but his next loss, he got fully dropped and dropped the decision in that one. And I feel the same way. I think that his complacency kind of led to him thinking, well, I just put out Poatan, and Poatan's the only guy that's been able to touch me. And now I'm going up against Sean Strickland, who Poatan destroyed. And so I think that he 100% underestimated Sean Strickland. And I don't think he's going to do that against DDP. I think that he's going to come in knowing that he can't be a slow starter in this one. He's not going to go the same route that he went with Sean Strickland. He's not going to let DDP get ahead on the cards. I think that I think that Adesanya is going to try to point up DDP early on and get ahead as quickly as he can, just to avoid any catastrophes later on, where if third, fourth round DDP rushes forward with that bull style, is just crazy big, hooks coming in from the side. He's so like solid. He's built, bro. So he gets rolling in one direction, man. It's difficult. It's difficult to deal with. We saw Robert Whittaker have trouble with it. Robert Whittaker doesn't have trouble with anybody, and we saw some amazing stuff in that one from DDP. But this one, official pick, I think that Adesanya is going to try to outpoint him early on. He's going to try to get ahead on the cards. I think that DDP does hit that point where he's like, I got to go, and he's going to end up opening himself up. I think that Adesanya's striking is just too crisp, and I think with all this time off, he's going to have had time to not only like refine his striking and his game plan and catching his range and his openings, but be able to get going a little bit quicker. So I think he's got a fire lit under his ass on this one. I'm gonna go Israel Adesanya by TKO round 2 or 3, somewhere around 2 or 3. I officially put this one over 2.5, but I feel it's gonna be somewhere around 2 or 3 that we start to see some stuff land. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. We already got one vote for Dog of the Week with DDP from Sean. Gage, you got a dog or a lock for us, sir?
I would go Kai.
Kai.
Kai
That's
dog.
the dog.
Kai's
We got Kai, DDP.
Actually, no,
like...
Fuck that. Fuck Kai. Dan Hooker. Give me Dan Hooker.
Okay, there you go. There you go, Dan Hooker. Boom. Beautiful.
And as lock, I gotta go Israel Adesanya. I have to do it.
Me and Gage are complete opposite. My dog is Du Plessis, and my lock is Mateus Gamrot.
Yep.
Like obviously, if we're doing the undercard, I'll take the minus 1100, but
yeah,
we're doing main card.
We don't need to do all that.
Yeah. That's too easy. That's too easy. Good call on that one. I like Mateus Gamrot as the lock, but I don't think that that's who I want to make my lock, because it is, oh man, it's just so tough to bet against Dan Hooker. I think for my lock, I'm going to go with the opening fight, Stewart Nicole. That's the early prelims. For the main card lock, I'm torn between Mateus Gamrot and Israel Adesanya.
Someone's gonna have bragging rights after this week.
There's gonna be a lead change possibly, or your lead is just gonna skyrocket.
Well, yeah.
We're never gonna touch you ever again. I'll say Mateus Gamrot. I'll say Mateus Gamrot for the lock on the main card. Dog. I haven't. What's the line on Izzy?
He's a favorite. He's favorite.
Yeah.
It's right now minus
140.
135.
35. Okay, so he hasn't moved to a dog yet. Well,
No, he won't.
I'll say Kai Kara France is my dog.
That's totally
That's my
understandable.
dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. So he opened at a plus 185. I got to think that that's probably shifted just a little bit. Maybe even more so for Steve Erceg, though. I don't know. He did look damn good in that last one. Damn good.
I will say for the viewers, I was telling my buddy earlier, I'm going to make 2 parlays, and one of them having Izzy and one of them having Du Plessis, but I do feel like Du Plessis is going to get it done. So please be willing to make different. That's one of those fights that can go either way. It really can. I just feel more confident in a certain fighter.
You really do got to break it up and spread it out on this one. Be very careful with going over 2 or 3 picks on your parlays, because
don't bet the heavyweights. Just don't do it.
Don't bet the heavyweights. Don't bet the who is that? Where'd he go? Nolan. Stay away from that one unless you're trying to get funky, trying to get crazy on a Saturday, and you want to throw something down on that huge under. But I wouldn't. But this one, yeah, definitely spread it out. Don't put anybody on all of your parlays, because there's nobody on this card that I see as somebody that's an absolute lock on this one, except for the 2 dudes that I picked. But, and there we go. That's it for UFC 305, gentlemen. Any final thoughts?
Should be a fun one. Better than 306.
Yeah, dude. Not going to be hard to top. Not going to be hard to top. And Dana's like... Dana increased the fucking win bonuses in every single card after 300 until he got to this one, and he was like, no more. You guys fucked it up for everybody else.
Yeah.
All right. UFC 305. Thank you guys for tuning in. It goes down Saturday, August 17th in Perth, Australia. Du Plessis versus Adesanya. Sweet card. Make sure you tune in for the whole thing. Thank you again to our sponsor, Gorilla Grills. We will have the code, the link down in there for you guys in the bio. So check that out. And we will be back here as always every fight week. We're dropping early. We got all the picks that you guys need. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed already. We've been gradually growing every single time out. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. We're going to keep coming back here and doing it no matter what. So stick with us. Follow the official Fight Pit on Instagram. You can find all of us on the Instagram as well. Follow all of us and hit subscribe for the Fight Pit, baby. That is it. We will see you on the next one. Peace.